Welcome to This Place. Each week, we talk with Oregonians about the places they call home. This week, we hear from Vanessa Houck in Ashland.
I've lived here for more than 30 years. It's probably been about 35 now. It's very quiet. It's right on the edge of Bear Creek, so we have lots of wildlife that come and visit, everything from wild turkeys to skunks and foxes and bears. And so when we bought the mobile number 17 in the park, we lived there for about 4 years, so almost to the day to the fire. It was the very first day of my youngest daughter's entering high school. And of course, COVID had just happened, so everything was online. They were doing the Zoom calls or whatever it was called then. And my middle daughter came out in the living room. She was sitting there on the couch. And my husband, Jason, he was going off to KSKQ for his volunteer shift there. And he took the car, so we didn't have a vehicle. And I heard online that there was a fire on Alameda Street. Turned out it's about 3 miles away. And I thought, okay, that's a decent distance. That's okay. And then Jason at KSKQ was seeing a lot of fire activity, trucks and whatnot. And he called me and he said, hey, it's probably a good idea to get ready. And then when I come home, we'll just pack up and go. We started doing that. I went and interrupted her class, the youngest girl's class, and said, we're going to, prepare in case we need to get out of here. So we started just gathering our belongings, our most important things, and I was placing them on the front porch, just piling them up. And then suddenly my husband called me and he said, you have to go now. And then we just fled on foot. We went down this little grassy area into the parking lot, and I could see there were a handful of neighbors kind of out there, and there was a state trooper. So he sent us down this pathway. We called it the Bear Creek little pathway against the creek there. And then there's a big field, which at that time had completely burned down. And we didn't realize that at that moment. But it was gone. And there were houses in the park that had started to catch on fire. We could see that. And there was that enormous wind that day. And then all of a sudden, there's a sheriff's deputy in front of me, which I couldn't even pay attention to how that was all happening, but apparently they'd come across the field. And he pointed to me and my kids, and so we got in the back of his vehicle, and my neighbor climbed in the back of the vehicle with us too, and his dog, so we were all kind of crammed it back there together. And we started going down the freeway towards the expo, and my neighbor said, wow, are those sirens us? And they said, yeah, we're lights and sirens, down the freeway trying to get you guys there, because they had to drop us off and then go back and help more people. And I sat there and I just felt all of that. I was feeling all that trauma, not just my own trauma, but all of that trauma. So many of our neighbors wound up leaving, especially right after. It was so hard. It was hard to find housing. And so we lost a lot of people. A lot of people just moved. They were put in hotels for long periods of time, and their housing just wasn't secure for a very long time. All of the rentals, that the B&Bs and things that exist in Ashland for the Shakespeare Festival and for the vacationers. After the fire, we saw people really giving huge amounts of themselves and of their hearts, really, by sharing these properties with families that didn't have a place to live. That, to me, was just, it's pretty awe-inspiring,
That was Vanessa Houck in Ashland. This Place is produced by Oregon Humanities in partnership with the Plan for a Resilient Oregon. This episode was edited by John Richardson and recorded by me, Juliette Grable. To hear more stories from This Place, visit OregonHumanities.org or find the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts. Thanks for listening.